When you take those slight things which give you a temporary euphoria, then you tend to believe that you are the Christ, you are the Buddha. But your actions don't fulfill your imagination. If you imagine that I am Christ and I am going to raise the dead, and you can't raise the dead, then it's a hallucination. If you imagine that you are Christ, and that if you imagine you are Christ and you can raise the dead, and you go and you do raise the dead, you are Christ. Simple. So this does not happen with a mind divided amongst itself or ill at ease with itself. See? Next question. Yes.
Hi. I started my yoga path about 30 years ago. It was in a traditional yoga community, and then something happened, and then I fell away, and I started again about 10, 12 years ago with an Enlightened path, sort of a Advaita form of Buddhism. And basically in that path, it says that we already are self-realized right now, and all we have to do is have a paradigm shift, and practice isn't necessary. If you want to do practice, you can do practice, the common mind, but there's no seeking because we already are.
That's exactly what I told you. You put the hands of your mind upon the eyes of your soul and cry that you cannot see. Take the hands away. And this saying that you already are and all are a misnomer, because who was Buddha? Was Buddha a Buddhist? He was an Hindu, like us. Just to get things, I don't believe in Hindu and Buddhism, but just to get things right. He was taught by masters in India. And the mind tends to be lazy. You don't have to do anything. You're already enlightened. Okay, come on. Here you are. If you're already enlightened, raise the dead man. Turn the water into wine like Jesus did. And if he could do it and you couldn't, what's missing?
He was just showing off.
Simple. Maybe he is, but to raise a dead man, to alleviate the suffering of people, I mean, it's a great thing. If it show off, it must be God make me a show off like this, that I can alleviate the sufferings of people. I'd like to be a show off, who could pacify the hunger of 5,000 people with 2 loaves of bread and 5 fish. God make me such a show off, or make me such a devil. Let's say he's a devil. I'd like to be a devil who does good to humanity. I wouldn't like to be a God who kills brutally millions of people. So it's just a question of my mere dialect, my dear friend. The essential fact is the essential fact. Can you dig it? It's not in the words, it's in the deeds. Got it? Okay. So this, that you are already enlightened, please do not deceive yourselves. If you are enlightened, so am I. Okay? Now today in his words, I'll be showing off, okay? I'll be showing off to you because I'm trying to give you an experience, and earnestly from your heart, trying to make you realize that at the level of consciousness, humanity is one. By stopping the thoughts. But there are some skeptics who will say, okay, I'll see how this fellow stops my thought. Of course, who the hell bothers? If you're going to resist, I'm not going to make an effort. But the living proof will be all of you will raise your hands and know that the thoughts are stopped. So these are juxtaposing and fiddling around with words. The mind that's making a mess. The mind makes a big mess, a bosh. So you have to make an effort. One person came to me. I was just meditating normally because I like it. I was enjoying the breeze and I floated off into a state of divine bliss. So he told me, hey Yogi, what are you doing? No need to meditate. God said there's no need. If it's God's will, then you will be enlightened. Otherwise you won't. So I said, listen, it's God's will to keep you dumb and criticizing others. And it's also God's will to give me this state of bliss. So both, even meditating or making an effort is God's will. Why does it work for one and not for the other? You're already enlightened, okay? And you're still in that state of dumbness. Then for that case, isn't a madman enlightened also? With schizophrenia? Why is he suffering? So, there's an enlightened sufferer, there's an enlightened debauch, there's an enlightened terrorist, there's an enlightened good man, There's an enlightened being. So now, by the practice of Kriya Yoga, from an enlightened terrorist, you can become an enlightened being. If it's words you want to play with, I'm ready for the game of chess. Can you all dig it? You see, because Buddhism, we know that it definitely originated in India, and the teachers of Buddha were Nath yogis.
It's not that those folks are not enlightened, but the embodiment or the understanding on the conscious level is what I'm.
Its enlightenment is beyond understanding.
I don't
So,
mean intellectual understanding.
for thousands of years, people have been tried to prove enlightenment or God, and they have failed. For thousands of years, people have tried to disprove enlightenment and God, and they have also failed. So, enlightenment or God is not a subject of intellectual speculation or discussion. It is a subject of practical experience. Right? Now, when you meditate and rise above the lake of mind, you are in a very peaceful state. Suddenly, bubbling up from the surface of the mind's lake, a thought comes. You know, this thought is latent in your memory banks. The process of meditation is clearing your memory banks of the garbage of stored impressions. There are three things your minds have. One is random thoughts. One is a thought form, that's ideational, a thought form, which is a visual. It's an audio visual. And the third thing is stored impressions of thought forms. So first of all, when you start meditating, your random thoughts get scattered and you have a peace of mind. Then as you go deeper and deeper, these other thoughts which are with forms, first you just have a thought like a clock, this, that, maybe it has a form, it doesn't have a form. Then you have a form of a beautiful house or a beautiful person you were in love with. He will come, that thought will come. It will surface from your mind's lake. It will bubble up to the surface. And then after you're finished with that, many years later, when you're established in a perfect state of meditation, still thoughts will come. They are past life, they are latent impressions, stored impressions of past lives and many, many years back. Then they will come to the surface. Let them surface and let them pass away. Then when your memory banks are emptied, then you will see the crystal light. You see, everybody is enlightened. Here's a flame. Okay? Everybody is the flame. I have told you that, know ye not that your body is a temple of the God, and the Spirit of the Lord dwelleth therein. But the curtain is of the mind. Now, you cannot realize this flame cannot unite with the universal flame because of the coverage of the mind. This coverage, it may be thick, it may be thin. If it's thin, people get enlightened quicker. If it's thick, it takes a longer time, but it's cleaning off the lamp glass. Your mind is the lamp glass. If it has a lot of soot, everybody has the flame inside. Everybody is enlightened, but the lamp glass is like the soot on top. Aye? So it's cleaning the lamp glass. If you have a lot of soot, you have to practice more meditation. Some people come and they get enlightened at the age of 18, like Sant Jnaneshwar. Jnaneshwar was great, or Ramana Maharishi. At a very young age he got enlightened, because there was less soot. So each individual gets the awareness of his enlightenment is got depending upon how fast you clean your mind. Everybody is enlightened, but the awareness of whether he is enlightened or not will depend upon the muck and the bosh, which the emotional luggage that you carry. And that is your karma. Unless you work out all your karma, you cannot be enlightened, although you are all potentially an enlightened being. Vivekananda says each soul is potentially divine. To express this divinity is cleaning off the lamp glass. How will you clean the mind? How will you take the hands of your mind away from your consciousness and make the individual conscious flame merge in the universal conscious flame? We are always an individual conscious flame. We are always enlightened. But the karmic flow, the karmic mind, thick with karma, vision of our awareness of we being united with the universal flame of light. That explains it, but I got it, right? So we are all enlightened. The soul is all within us. I said it. Know ye not that the flame of God is within you? But the mind, the damn mind comes in the darn mind. And that mind is a ceaseless flow of your karma. You can't just say, let us have wine, women and laughter and enlightenment the day after. No. Your wine, women and laughter, your wine, men and laughter is going to create an impression upon your mind substance, which is called the mind stuff. The stuff of the world is mind stuff. The stuff of the world is mind stuff. Now this karma has to be worked out. Otherwise you will not be aware that you are enlightened and connected with the universal enlightenment. Although you are, the flame of God doth burn in, you are divine. You're not only enlightened but you're divine. But that divinity, individual divinity to merge with the universal divinity, the curtain of the mind has to be melted. And that can fastest be done by Kriya Yoga. Is that clear now? Okay.
ah